Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video. So I'm going to do a part one here on checkmate patterns, and I'll do a few more of these videos because you can never learn too many checkmate patterns. And remember that studying chess tactics, solving chess puzzles, and checkmate problems regularly is one of the fastest ways to improve your chess. And make sure you don't just look at a puzzle once and then move on and forget about it. You should go over a puzzle, a series of puzzles. I'll do probably 10 or 20 in this video. And I recommend with this or in a book or wherever you do these puzzles, go over them one time slowly and then go over them again. Maybe cut the time in half, and each time try and solve the problems faster. And if you do that about 7 times, it'll help burn those puzzles into your long-term memory and help you to better remember them and be able to use them in your own chess games. All right, so here we have a white king that just moved forward, and we're looking for a pattern to be able to checkmate the opponent. We have the black pieces. So what would you do in this position? Pause at any time if you need more time to think. If not, let's go. It looks like we have the rook cutting off an escape. We have the knight covering this square. So we need to just deliver a check. Always look for checks first. Of course, if the rook moves here, the king can just capture, so that's probably out of the question. But we have this pawn, so if the pawn delivers a check, the king will have to move forward here, and then the rook can deliver a mate on a3. So here we go, check and mate. All right, so a nice little pattern here where knight and rook work together and this pawn assists. Okay, on to the next one. We just had a capture in the center, but it is black's turn to move. How do we deliver a mate here? All right. Well, hopefully you found this one. A good clue is this strong battery on the open G file. And this pawn here, which is also covering this square. So, when you do puzzles, try to solve them entirely in your head without moving any pieces. And then, at that point, when you're sure you're correct, then you can solve them. So, I'm thinking we're going to move the queen up here, sacrifice it, the rook will capture, but then our pawn can capture and promote to a queen delivering mate. So here we go. And pawn, queens, delivering the mate, backed up by the rook. All right, on to the next one. Okay, I hope you're having success with these puzzles. So let's see here. A knight has just moved forward. So take a look at this. Hopefully you can solve it. Look for the checks first. Anytime you're solving puzzles or playing chess over the board or wherever, before each move, and after your opponent's move, look for checks, captures, and threats in that order, as checks are the most forcing. So the knight is attacking our queen, but our queen can deliver a check here, forcing the king to run to here, and then our queen can deliver mate on d7. So hopefully you found that one. Check and mate. All right, a good little pattern where the queen is backed up by a pawn. So on to the next problem. A bishop is developed off the back rank, putting pressure on our knight, which is pinned to our queen. What can we do here? All right. Well, let's see. We must look at all the pieces on the board, especially our pieces, and see what they're doing. We have a bishop that is cutting off this diagonal, so we have to remember that bishop on the edge of the board. Sometimes pieces over on the edge are more easily forgotten. All right, the king is cut off. What can we do now? Look for those checks. Here the rook can capture us, if our queen goes there. The same with here. Okay. Maybe we need to deliver a check on another square. So maybe here. The knight cuts that off. The bishop cuts that off. So when a king is being checked, there are only three options: capture the checking piece, block, or run with the king. So once we go here with our queen, the king will be forced to block with the rook. Then we can capture and deliver mate. So hopefully you found that one. And mate. All right, on to the next one. What do we have here? It looks like the queen and bishop are hovering around our king. But it's our turn. What can we do here? All right. Well, you have to look at, the pieces that you have, the attacking force that you can use around the opponent's king. So we have a rook and a queen. Now we need to look at all the possible checks. This is an obvious check here with the queen, but the king can run and escape. And I need to stop using that word. I had a viewer mention that I mispronounced the word escape and put an X in there, like escape. So I'll try to avoid that word. Thank you, viewer, for bringing that to my attention. And I welcome all comments by all viewers and subscribers. Thank you very much for any input that you have. All right. I had another viewer that wanted me to place a analysis board, or do this on an analysis board. I may be able to do that in the future. They wanted me to show the other moves that are possible, maybe instead of too many arrows all over the board, and that's a good tip. I'll have to try and do maybe a future set of problems on an analysis board, but it just takes longer to set that up. But I'll try and do that in the future. All right, back to this problem. We're going to check here. The king will be forced to move to here, and our rook can deliver the mate. So here we go. And the mate. A great pattern here. Rook on the back rank, and the queen helps to keep the king from being able to run. All right, next problem. The rooks have doubled on an open file. That can be quite dangerous. All right, what do we have here? Well, we have the king out in the open. The queen is lining up on that diagonal. The rook is cutting off, this E file. Okay. Well, hopefully you figured this one out. Um, maybe the queen, but then where? If the king runs into the back rank, then what do we do? No matter what, we'll be able to mate here because the bishop is covering that. Okay, so try to figure that out in your head. Remember that the queen can go here and deliver a check, and then the bishop is covering that. The queen can then swing over here and deliver a mate, whether the king goes up on the back rank or the king moves forward here, because the knight will be cutting the king off. Okay, I know that might be a lot, and that's probably why the one viewer recommended I do an analysis board, so I can move these pieces around. It'll be easier for you to see. But see if you can figure out the problem in your head. All right, here we go. And the mate. And now this is a great pattern to know. I've talked about when you check with a queen, check the king on the corner squares here. But now we're going to talk about when you check the king. And if you haven't seen the older videos where I talked about checking the king with the queen on the corner, if you do that, the queen will cover wherever the queen is. If, let's say, if the queen was here, the queen would cover that diagonal, this side, and that side, and the only two squares that would not be covered are here and here. Now that is, excuse me, that's if the queen was here. But it's a different ball game when the queen is on one of the central side squares around the king. Well, now the queen is here and it covers here, 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 and here. So the only two squares, once again, that are not covered are here and here. And the knight is handling that. So this is a great pattern to know. The queen, when you check a king on the side, on the edge, it covers every square except the opposite two corner squares from where the queen is. So a valuable pattern here. All right, next one. We have a, what? Piece that was captured here by the queen. We have, maybe if there was a piece captured there, but the threat is maybe a attack here on our king, backed up by the knight. The knight also cuts off the king's escape here. All right. With our turn to move as black, what can we do? Well, we have this battery lined up here. You know, we could deliver a check, but whenever you can check, you want to look for a follow-up. Do you have a follow-up after that move? So here it does look like we have a good follow-up. You know, once we capture here, the king could go here, but then we'll just deliver a mate by bringing our queen to G2, you know, from here. If the king, once we capture with the queen here, well then, if the king goes here, we can drop back and deliver the mate here with the queen. All right, hopefully you got that in your head. See if you can calculate it out. Pause if you need more time to think. Here we go. And the king does run up here, so we can deliver a mate here. Now, if the king would have gone here, well, then our queen could have dropped back here, delivering the mate, because this bishop would be covering that right there. All right, so here we get an easy mate. All right, I hope you're doing well on these. Let's move on. And I bumped the rating difficulty up a little bit from 500 to 2,000. And I don't know if these are actually 2,000, rated problems. They're not too difficult. They're checkmate in 2. So on to the next one. We had a rook attacking our king. The king runs. And now, how do we finish our opponent off? Okay. We have a knight that can deliver check here or here. So that looks like a valuable piece. And I think that is the clue that you need right there. So calculate this out, see if you can figure it out. If you're ready, here we go. We're going to bring the knight in here, delivering a check. The king will be forced to run, but to where? Now the knight will be cutting off that along with the bishop. So there's only one, or excuse me, along with the rook. So there's only one way to go for the king. All right, here we go, and the mate. A great pattern once again of knight and rook working together, and that pawn is helping to protect the knight. All right, here we go. Problem number 9. A bishop pinning the knight to the queen. They're piling up on the pinned knight. We need to act quickly here. How can we try to checkmate our opponent? And he's in the corner. All right. As I said before, look for checks first, as they're the most forcing moves. All right. We can go here. There's only one option. When your king is under fire, being checked, you can only capture, block, or run. We can't block a knight, though. We can't run, as the bishop is covering that. We will have a capture by the pawn. And then, what? A queen mate on h5 here. Okay, calculate it out in your head. See if you can figure it out. Here we go. And the queen delivers the mate. Okay, problem number 10. I'll try and move these along a little bit more quickly and try and do 20 problems. Okay. We just had a check by the bishop. The king is on the run. And now we will have a great little pattern here, using the bishops along with the queen. We need to act immediately here, as there are enemy pieces hovering around our king. Okay. Hopefully you figured this out. We can go here with check and a discovered attack by the queen. All right, a back rank mate. Those are always worth your time to study and go over, because there are quite a few back rank mate opportunities in chess. Sometimes they can be overlooked because there are some that are more complicated. All right, let's try and get through 10 more, and we'll keep them moving quickly. All right, what do we do here? We have a king on the back rank. We have knight nearby, bishop, and rook, preventing any movement by the king to the open c file. All right. Well. Oh, okay. Hopefully you found it. We're going to jump up here, and the king will have to run to here. We can deliver a mate right here. So here's how we do it. And mate. Yeah, and once again, a good example of how knight and rook work together well. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, another example. This time, knight with 2 rooks. Hopefully you figured this one out. Pause if you need more time to think. If not, here we go. There and mate there. Okay, on to the next one. And, this is another great example of these rooks. Well, a rook working with the knight, and they're kind of cutting off the back rank and the 7th rank. Okay. All right, we have pieces hovering around the opponent. Possible check here. But then, if the knight does check here, the king can run here, and we have an unprotected rook. Okay. Well, hopefully you figured this one out. We're going to check with that knight. The king will have to move here, after the knight is here. And then we can move here and deliver the mate. Okay, I hope you got that one. Check and mate. A great little pattern here where the knight is preventing an escape. I better quit using that word. The knight is keeping the king from running away here. And, a good job by that knight. All right. Try and do the final 7 problems. What do we have here? Okay, hopefully you figured this one out. We have a knight covering here and here. How do we check the king? Well, one piece can do it. So pause. If you're ready, here we go. Check by the queen. The king will have to run. If he goes here, the queen can mate here. Or wherever he goes, the queen will be able to deliver mate. There you have it. All right, the final problems. Okay, a great pattern here. See if you can figure it out. If you're ready, here we go. It looks like a queen sacrifice right there. King will have to capture, and the rook can deliver a mate here. And a great pattern, rooks working together. Instead of a back rank mate, we have a side rank mate with the two rooks preventing the king from running away. Okay, what do we have here? King to F6. All right. The rooks are working together. Okay. All right, here we go. Rooks in tandem. See if you can figure that one out. It might be a little tricky. We're going to go here. The only place the king can run to is there. And then we bring that up, delivering the mate. Okay, here we go. And here, once again, great example of rooks working together. Covering that, attacking, covering the pawn, covering that. And when a rook is on the corner, we see that that rook cuts off both of these edges here. Well, this square that he's on, as long as that pawn is protecting. All right. We have, what, 4 more to go. Okay. Pawn is pushing forward. How can we attack here? All right. Hopefully you figured this one out. A knight and queen combo. All right. Where do we check with that queen? You have an option of going here or here, but what is better? Hopefully you figured it out. We're going to go here. Checking the king on that corner square. Now the pawn is blocking, but our knight is covering here. But our queen is covering that diagonal and that side. And as I mentioned, when the queen checks on a corner square around the king, the only squares you're not covering once the queen is here are that one and that one, the opposite two central side squares around the king. So the queen covers that, and then the king will have to run to here, and the knight can deliver mate by jumping here. All right, here we go. And mate. Okay, we have 3 more. Let's finish these out. Hopefully you're doing well in these problems. Okay, another great example of the pattern of queen and knight working together and a back rank mate in the mix. So hopefully you figured this one out. Pause if you need more time. We're going to drop our queen here. We don't want to go here because the knight is covering that. So queen here with check, driving the king into the corner. Then we capture the knight and deliver a back rank mate. So check and mate. All right, we have 2 more. Oh, we just had a capture. Did the bishop grab our queen? Well, no matter. This is a very famous pattern right out of the opening. So bishop takes our queen, and now we are going to check with the bishop. And then what is the follow-up? You must make sure you have a good follow-up. The king will have to press forward, but our other knight can deliver a mate here. All right, great pattern here. And look at that, the knights working together with the bishop in the center of the board right out of the opening. All right, the final problem. Here we go. Queen is lined up on our king, but it's our turn. How do we take advantage? All right, another great pattern here with rook and knight. Hopefully you figured it out. Take a look. Pause if you need more time. If not, Here we go. We're going to sacrifice our queen. King will be forced to capture, and then the rook can deliver a back rank mate. Check and mate. All right. I hope you were able to figure those out. As always, feel free to leave any comments. I always like to hear what viewers and subscribers have to say. Like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.